Stick with the plan. That's what this episode of the Fantasy Ruckers Show is all about. The schedule for MLR 2026 has been released. A flurry of signings come in to make the picture even clearer on what the teams that will be playing next season will look like, which means Fantasy MLR 2026 will undoubtedly be a go. On this episode of the Fantasy Ruckers Show, we react to that all and talk about what next year's fantasy season is going to look like. The Fantasy Ruckers Show starts right now.
Where rugby and the world of fantasy sports collide. Welcome to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, talking all things rugby from the MLR to leagues around the world. We're on top of it. Headphones on, pads off. This is the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Yee, Matt Yee, and Devin Vanderpool.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 174 of the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Thank you so much to our Fantasy Ruckers League members, our community members, and everyone else tagging along on the journey of making fantasy rugby a reality in MLR with you each and every single week. Matt Yee, Devin, Vandy Vanderpool. I am Ryan Yee. We got a full house on this episode 174. Vandy, great to have you back. We missed you last episode, man.
Buddy,
Maddie
Emerson
and
was
myself.
talking. He was like, "Hey, where's our number one Utah Warriors fan? Where's he at?"
Yeah, well, just like the team non-existent. No, life's busy. Life's busy. It's
Life is busy.
Hey, listen. If you can't make jokes in the pain of it, then you're not a real fan. Okay,
Coming in
go.
hot on this
you can only
episode
cry for so long. You got to
174.
replace the tears with something.
That is true. That is true. And there's no better person to know how to do that than Vandy, who is among many fans who have lost their team this season. But we're moving forward here. Okay. We're calling this episode Sticking with the Plan. All right. The MLR has laid out the foundation for what we can expect in 2026. And with this whole off-season, every other week episode schedule we have going as of right now, it does feel like every time we hop on this show, we have a catalog of things that we need to catch up on. And in that time, we were given a schedule for the 2026 season of a total of 6 teams. Not to mention, obviously, with that, a competition format on what to expect for this upcoming year, along with, I think, probably the most signings we've had in a 2-week period so far this offseason. By one team. And by one team from one country, we could probably say. But we'll get into that on this episode. But again, with all that, we have a lot to catch up on here on this episode 174. Like I mentioned, reaction to the schedule, catch up on all those signings, talk about some departures. And hey, I know a lot of people are having the question, what the heck is going to happen with Fantasy MLR? The Discord has been popping off a little bit with people asking the question with 6 teams, with the schedule, with only 2 teams playing in the first week. How
Does
the
this
heck?
mean we got a ridiculous trumpet playing update this time?
We shall see. We shall see. Either way, all I can tell you as of right now is we are sticking with the plan. Remember those words as we go on here through this episode 174. But yeah, like Maddie alluded to it, check out last episode with former Utah Warriors front rower Emerson Pryor. Great interview on that last episode 173. Kind of dove into how he found out that the Utah Warriors were not going to be around for next season, kind of how the reaction amongst him and his teammates were, and really an outlook from a player's perspective on how a lot of these players are feeling with the chaos that has taken place over this offseason that has left many without a home, including Emerson Pryor. Now, some players have found a new home, which we'll get into in just a bit here in the update, but nonetheless, obviously a big shake up with the MLR going to look a whole lot different here coming in 2026. Like I mentioned, from the teams that are going to be playing, from the players on those teams, and the schedule that we'll be playing and the timing of it all. So again, going to get into it on the episode 174, but again, check out that interview with a friend of the show, Emerson Pryor, who missed Vandy greatly, like we mentioned on last episode. Vandy, I know you're in the Great White North visiting some family, different setting for you. Vandy, you've taken a night off from bringing Louis to scoring hatties every single night in his hockey game. We were texting back and forth when you said that you couldn't join it because of Louis' last hockey game. I don't know what next level elite league that your son is playing? Are we expecting the next Ovechkin or
At his first
Connor
travel
McDavid
game,
here?
we had to go to
Mm.
Oswego.
That's pretty far for you in
Dude,
Tillsonburg.
that's what I'm
What?
saying.
How old is Louis now?
He's 5.
And
No.
he's traveling further than I ever traveled in my hockey days at the age of 5.
Yeah,
I was playing
well,
Timbits hockey there. We
he's
were going
got
to
he's got
just
some
down the
butt to
street.
kick and people to show. So
All right.
Is
There
it
you go.
Wayne Gretzky or is it Wayne Glensky, Vandy?
There you
it's
go. All
Wayne
right. Well,
stop
hey,
falling over ski.
good to hear that both of you are doing well. But let's hop right into it. No more time to waste. With a jam-packed episode. And hey, you're going to catch up all the updates as well at the Fantasy Ruckers. Make sure you're following us on socials, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. That's where you'll find the interview with Emerson. That's where you'll find all the past interviews we've had this offseason. And of course, more interviews and good content to come here just around the corner. Join our Discord, link down below to do so. We are inching closer now that we have a start date when it comes to the Fantasy or the MLR season, I should say, opening kickoff day, March 28th. It means Fantasy MLR is only just over 3 months away. So the way you're going to be first to know is at the Fantasy Ruckers. And of course, join our Discord, main communication platform for that. And check out the fantasyruckers.com, the official platform for Fantasy MLR here on the Fantasy Ruckers Show. All right, let's get into the news.
News dump.
All right, time for a TFR episode 174 news dump. And I think we should obviously just open up with obviously the biggest news that has happened over the course of the past couple weeks, and that is the announcement of a full schedule. I think that's been the biggest talking point. We know the timing of everything. We know when things are going to be played, which is obviously going to have league and competition implications, but of course fantasy MLR implications as well, which we will talk through on this episode. But to lay down the foundation here, we got 6 teams, of course. Utah are
Oh,
What a
whoa.
hitting
Freudian
hard.
slip.
Ooh, sorry about that.
Jeez.
Anthem Rugby Carolina, New England Free Jacks, Seattle Seawolves, California Legion, maybe. And who else am I missing there?
You
The
named 3 and
Chicago
you already
Hounds,
forgot the rest of them.
the Chicago Hounds, and
I'll just let you take this one. You figure it
Old
out.
Boy DC. That's
Yeah.
tough. And the fact that there's only 16, there's 6 teams. I should not.
That's a lot
be,
to remember. Yeah, you can
oh,
remember.
man.
You
I
can
know.
remember. You can remember 10, but you can't remember 6. Eh?
No, that's how it works here. 5 home matches, 5 away matches for each of the 6 teams. The top 4 teams will be making it to the postseason semifinals, which then a final championship will be played after that.
And we know the California Legion is in because they have been very active on socials, not
They
in
have.
releasing players, but posting response tweets
Yes.
and signing off on said tweets with a signature of who is tweeting the tweet. So
Yes, I
good,
did-
good
I
for
did
them.
see
I
that.
guess, yeah.
I did see
I don't
that
think they know how
because-
Twitter works. I don't think they know. I don't. We know
Because,
it's coming
to
from
be honest,
California Legion.
Hey, you know what, Legion? That makes 2 of us. I don't know how it works either.
I did think it was funny. And I guess this ties in well with kind of the schedule and how it's formatted here because our very good friend of the show, James Dealey, MLR stats guru, check him out at narugbydb.com. He posted out a tweet talking about the scheduling. And I think people have noticed that we do have a early game taking place to kick off the season on March 28th, where every single team is on bye except for 2, and that is Anthem Rugby Carolina and the California Legion. And doing some digging, James was able to find out, and as he tweeted, that it was probably due to scheduling. With that, and California Legion responded to that and saying, yes, that is indeed correct, that was the only available slot that they had in the OC that would be able to play. And then they signed off like you mentioned that.
Yours truly, AJ.
Yours truly, AF. And I thought they were like
AF.
really leaning into like, oh, like this is it. Like we're real AF. Like this is it. And I realized that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, no.
That is just the signature of whoever's tweeting that. But
he's got characters left. He could just do a best regards, a yours truly,
there you
go, all the best, something like that. Sign it off professionally. Come on,
either way. So the competition format, like I mentioned, 6 teams, 5 home matches for each team, 5 away matches for each team. The the league is kicking off the very first week on March 28th, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time between the California Legion and Anthem Rugby Carolina. Now, this would mean that Chicago, New England, Old Glory, DC, and Seattle are all on
Awesome.
bye on that first week. However, going through it all and listing out the entire schedule, we do not have any crazy scheduling conflicts where we need to pull out the crazy math gif, the one that we use each and every year of the guy from The Hangover doing all the equations in his head, trying to figure out how we're going to make fantasy MLR work. It's actually, from a commissioner's point of view, pretty straightforward. 11 total weeks. 10 if you don't include that first, I'm calling it week 0 in our case here for fantasy, and you'll understand why. But every single team plays every single week except for week 6, where we only have 2 teams on bye, which now, again, because we only have 6 teams, means we only have 2 matches, which is not many, which I think we would still consider possibly a bye-mageddon. But either way, that it makes it simple, and it looks like most games are going to be played on Sunday, and the opening is going to kind of flip-flop between Friday and Saturday. But you can always block off, it looks like, on most weekends, Sunday at 4 and Sunday at 8 Eastern time. And
it's Sunday night.
Sunday Night Rugby, exactly. So it does seem pretty consistent. Means that we can schedule some early on stuff here, which is great to see. But I guess before we get into the other competition stuff, overall thoughts on the schedule, how they played it out, things like that.
I mean, it's going to be a short season for sure. It's going to feel super short. If they put a bye, if every team got a bye in this short season, it would be just as stupid as their dumb 20-minute halfway breaks, water breaks that they take. But I'm glad that it's not an actual bye. It's just like a Anthem California Legion. Just, they can't play every week and the additional week. So obviously they need a week off. So no, it looks good. I'm itching to get going. That's for sure.
Yeah. Again, just over 3 months away. To put into context what Matthew was alluding to in terms of feeling like a much shortened season, to put it into perspective, last year we started the season on February 15th and it did not end. This just being the regular season did not end until June 8th. This year we are starting more than a month later, actually a month and a half later, and finishing around the same time. So it's interesting to kind of see the condensed version, I guess, this season, obviously with 6 teams being played. We had 17 weeks last year. This year we only have 11. So almost half. So to Maddie's point, it is going to feel really, really quick. So again, the league has the full schedule released. There are some tasty matchups in there, but again, with only 6 teams, those tasty matchups are going to rotate each and every week. So we should see. And again, we kind of mentioned it. Sunday Night Rugby is going to be a thing. 2 matches on that Sunday night game will be on ESPN2, and 7 of those will be on ESPN Plus.
They got carried?
Question for the room.
Maddie's singing your question, it. Whether they got carried?
Not whether they got carried, but if you could choose, and I actually brought this question up not too long because we went through all the football prime time like singers. So you got Carrie Underwood for Sunday night football. You got Shabuzi for Thursday night football, and then for Monday night you got Snoop Dogg and Chris Stapleton. If you could choose an artist to be the Sunday Night Rugby singer, who would you choose?
You know what? I'm sorry. It's gotta be Stapleton.
Stapleton. Not out of the 3. You can choose any, Vandy. You can choose any. Out of those 3, I love Monday Night Football the best. The Stapleton Snoop Dogg kind of tandem there is pretty good, especially with one of my favorite songs, In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. Fantastic. But Maddie, who'd you choose?
I don't know. I mean, it's gotta be Stompin' Tom, right? Like there's only one guy that we can put in there.
The good
old, can be a staple. It's for a startup league. Like the MLR, is you put a old catchy tune, like the good old hockey game, whatever Stompin' Tom song, to really blow up the
he
MLR.
Also had a famous song.
Can you sing it for us, Andy?
My back still aches when I hear that word.
Tilsonburg. Yeah, I know that one.
He did.
I think I would have to go with Bill Baker of American Rugby.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I think Bill he showed Baker, us some Bill of his Baker pipes there when we
Bill
traveled
Baker
out to
featuring Snoop Dogg.
Baker featuring Snoop Dogg. Yeah, when we were out
Yeah.
at the final. I think we got to hear maybe a little bit of some of that singing. Either way, gonna be fun. Sunday Night Rugby is going to be a thing. Just the other quick notes though that I do want to get past here before we move on to the signing blitz. A big one, and I think it just goes right up there with the schedule announcement is the announcement. We talked about it that the stepping down of the name's already lost me. Matt,
Nick.
you know.
Nick.
Nick Benson, and the, I guess, stepping up of Alex Magleby, New England Free Jacks founder, and Graham Bradbury, the current MLR chief operating officer. They have been named co-presidents of MLR. So new leadership here for Major League Rugby. We are moving on from the Nick Benson era, I should say, and we are moving to the Magleby Bradbury era, which is going to be interesting to see. We'll see
Yeah.
what
I
what
think
comes out of it and what changes are made, but it is exciting.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, Maggleby's obviously had a lot of success with New England. It'll be interesting to see what his role with New England is still. I mean, obviously Nick Benson came from Utah and left, and he obviously wasn't part of Utah that much. But I mean, Vandy, what's your thoughts on in your professional experience, when two people are doing the job of one person, how does that usually work out pretty well?
Yeah, you know what? The game of telephone's pretty bad. You know what? Sometimes I'd just rather have one
Oh
guy.
God, he's going the other way.
No,
Well,
give me
I was
one
being
guy.
sarcastic. Vandy knows what's up.
Yeah, no, give
Vandy
me
knows
one
what's
Well,
up.
guy.
okay. To lay it out though, they are co-presidents, but Alex Magleby is going to be taking care of the strategy and communications. Communications being a big one there, which
Yeah, we got a lot of
see.
that.
And Graham
Yeah.
Bradbury, obviously, as a COO, operations and competition on his end. So I actually am very optimistic. Magleby, I know Bill has spoken very highly of him, obviously being the New England Free Jacks guy that he is. And he's obviously is the foundational piece of what is the most successful MLR franchise and the one that many would argue is the most established and stable out of all of them. It is going to be nice to see possibly that mindset and that stability coming to the league as a whole, and hopefully
Stability.
that does bode well. So we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, if anybody's watched Succession, we know two big dogs. Somebody's going to try to be the
I
alpha.
don't
Yeah,
I don't think if we get to any point where MLR is even close to thinking that we are a
a big
business like
dog.
Succession, I think we're in stepping in the right direction. Either way, yeah, gonna be interesting to see what this league looks like under new leadership. Couple quick hitters outside of that, not as notable. The New England Free Jacks kits were leaked. Picture by the Jacks Rangers came out. Do you guys want to see them? See them
Yes.
quickly?
Yeah, do it.
Let me pull it up here. Stalling.
We are
Stalling.
stalling.
Do you think
Um,
how different do you think they look?
It's probably the exact same.
yeah, I bet you it's pretty damn similar.
Are they using the same kit suppliers? Is
Uh,
it still Kappa?
I had it up here. Hold on.
I don't know
Kappa
how much
Beta
more
Alpha.
I can stall. Yeah, see that's what
Yeah,
happens when we stall for too long. You get
yeah.
Kappa Beta Alpha. That becomes the first one that's out of your mouth, eh, Vandy?
I
I
didn't
do
say
have it.
it.
I had it here.
Well, while you're pulling this up, maybe let's
Yeah.
just get something. I know we're going to shift on to signings at some point, but let me just hold the suspense for the people.
Yeah.
I know everybody's just waiting for California Legion to announce their lineup, and we know that I was hinting at the fact that they're being more active on the socials these days and signing off on their tweets with a glorious AF. Just to give you a forewarning, just to let you know, they got no new signings. They're announcing nothing. People are trying to get stuff out of them. Mister Alex Franconi, or AF, also known as AF on Twitter, hasn't announced nothing. So yeah, just a heads up to the viewers. Don't have to wait.
Matt,
All right. Well,
always with the transparency.
always with the
Yeah.
transparency. Yeah, that'll become quite apparent that we won't be talking much about the California Legion in this upcoming signing blitz segment. Here it is. Here's the picture I pulled up. Overall thoughts.
Awesome. Stripes, white, red,
Yeah.
blue. Looks
Wow. You know, to
Cool.
whoever leaked that, man, I'm sure New England's pretty
Wait,
ticked off.
are those stars on the arms?
The stars on the arms.
So they got stars and
Oh.
bars.
They got stars and bars.
They got
That
stars
means
at
that
home
means
I
something
think
different
bars
in
away.
Russia, boys.
in celebration
Especially
of, I
when it's
think,
on top of them.
America 250, the 250th
Are you guys
anniversary.
Russians?
So we'll see. A couple other things here. Anthem Rugby announced the Pathway Classic that will showcase some of the local schools and teams there, which is interesting to kind of funnel in some of that youth talent. And then
God, because they
lastly,
need it.
I do just want to get your guys' quick reaction to the 2027 World Cup pools, particularly Pool C and Pool E, where Pool C we find Canada with Argentina, Fiji, and Spain. And then we have Pool
It's a
E,
tough one.
where US finds itself with France, Japan, and Samoa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Pool E as my favorite, just because that's kind of a nickname for Vandepools, because that's a
There you go.
Poele, Pooley.
I
Always
like
with
that.
I'm
I
going with
like
always
that.
with
And
the
you
good
know what?
analysis.
Vandy? Vandy? I love that. And I'm gonna go also with the fact that Canada and US are probably finishing last in both of those pools. So
Who would you rather
great.
be, Maddie, Canada or US?
I mean, Canada seems like a little bit. I like Canada's pool better. But last place is last place, whatever pool you like. So
Yeah, that's true.
It's
You're
true.
not first, you're last. So
Tough drawing, but yeah, I think I do agree. I do think Canada, albeit still tough, maybe the pool I would rather be in, but nonetheless, yeah, going to be tough draws here for both North American sides here in 2027. All right, let's get right into the signing blitz here. A couple quick
Blitz.
notes though that I do want to mention that I think some people will find very fascinating here is we're starting to compile. Obviously, we're going to build this fantasy MLR 2026 database where we have the new
mm,
players coming in, confirm what players are on what teams so that you,
mm,
the people, can draft your squads and hopefully
mm.
win a fantasy championship. That's how it works, right? A, B,
Mhm.
C. Very easy. Um,
Vandy
but
knows.
Yeah.
Vandy knows.
It worked like that for me. Yeah.
As we're compiling this database, and we start to track all of the signings that have happened since Tavit Lopetti was signed, 3 months ago. It's been interesting trends to see who and how teams are structuring their squads and how and where these players are coming from. So, a couple
Mm.
quick tips or quick notes before we get into the actual signings that happened over the course of the past couple of weeks. If you could guess the team that has the most new MLR signings, players that have never been in the MLR and are going
New
to be
England.
appearing for the first time in 2020. You are correct. New England, with the flurry of signings that we're going to talk about on this episode, leads the way with 7 new MLR signings. Seattle and Carolina come in at second at 2. New England has 7. So
Jeez.
interesting there. And then we're going to get into who has poached the most players from other teams, either ones that are going to be playing next year or teams that no longer exist.
I feel like I know this one with Vandy. You go. You give it a go. But
Stole? Chicago?
Close, but no
I'm gonna
cigar.
go the old last placers, Anthem Carolina.
Anthem Rugby Carolina. That is also incorrect. Anthem Rugby Carolina coming in at second
The
at
heck?
8. DC with 7. New England with 10. So
Dang.
New England, you're starting to see a little bit of a trend here, which I think we're going to talk about
Well,
here coming up.
you know what?
When it comes
Good
to
for them. You had to
structure, though,
replace all those Canadians that they left abandoned.
Yeah.
last note, when it comes to teams with returning players, Old Glory DC leads the way at 12, Chicago with 11, New England with 10, and Anthem Rugby Carolina with 9. So again, these are just all the confirmed signings that teams have announced so far, but those were some things that at least stood out to me. That New England led the way with most new MLR signings, most poached players, and then DC in the lead of the pack with 9 returning players, which also begs the question: is Chicago becoming New England or can or is Chicago becoming the league's new New England, where they are going to be fielding a whole bunch of Canadian players, and New England, with the signings that we're going to be talking about, becoming the new New York, where they had a whole bunch of All Blacks, or not All Blacks, but New Zealand players. And it does seem like New England is really leaning into those Ryan Martin connections to fill out the squad after some departures this past season, including a handful of those Canadians.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, I think Chicago is definitely going to be gaining a lot of Canadian fans, that's for sure. And New England is definitely losing a lot of Canadian fans because of the way that they just abandoned all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Left
Tough,
in
tough, tough.
the
All right.
left
So
in the
let me roll
rain,
through
put
it.
away wet.
Left in the, exactly.
With
Got
that
no
being said,
respect for them anymore.
with that being said,
As you got your hands like this, they got no respect for him anymore.
um, with that being said, we do have some Canadians though that are finding new homes and new places here on new teams. And what's the best way to do this? I mean, there was so many signings. I'm gonna just go
Gotta
team
fire them
by
off.
team.
Go team by team, fire them off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll call,
Sounds good.
we'll highlight one that we like per
Okay.
team.
What if I
Let's
like
start
them
off,
all?
like Maddie alluded at the top,
Suck it.
California Legion, we're still waiting. We still have no idea who's going to be playing on this
AF,
team.
AF hinted that it could be coming.
Could be coming.
Some
Could be
guy
coming. So at the
listed his
time,
name. He said Ryan James question mark, and it was the eye emojis. Maybe I don't know, but it was signed AF. I know that. You know,
um, either way, as of the recording of this podcast on this Monday evening, um, we still don't know anything about California Legion outside that they had to play a earlier
outside they
game than everyone else
probably the
because they couldn't book
worst.
a
They're
stadium
gonna
in
have the
Orange
worst
County.
fan base in the entire MLR.
Let's start off with Chicago. Four notable signings over the past couple weeks. Three of them re-signings. Noah Brown, back three player. Luke White, back rower. Matt Aworu, Canadian back rower, all returning to Chicago. And an interesting one, now joined by former New England Free Jack and 2025 championship MVP, Canadian Brock Webster.
Mm.
I love that. Gotta love that. I mean, again, that does speak a little bit towards. So they got Videla, they got Webster, they got Hilsenbeck. So you're kind of looking at that back there. You got Noah Brown, looking pretty scary over there. I like that. I like that Webster signing, but I'm gonna say my favorite out of those is the Noah Brown signing. I love that. Noah Brown is a staple with Chicago, and he's been
Yeah,
solid.
Yeah. No,
I
that
agree.
that is true. And he's been obviously very, very fantasy impactful. Noah Brown last year, 103.3 fantasy points, doing all that work on the wing, scoring a season high 18.8 in round 14 when he scored or he racked up a whopping 15 tackles, a try assist, and 88 meters gained though. But you can't sleep on Brock Webster. What Brock
Yeah.
Webster was able to do towards the tail end of the season. 12.2, 17.2 in round 16 and 17. And of course, that MVP performance in the final there against the Houston Sabercats for the New England Free Jacks. I think that's going to bode well for them. But yeah, that back three room is getting pretty busy, looking pretty good though. Peyton Wall, Santiago Videla, Mark O'Keefe, Brock Webster, Noah Brown. I have an inkling that Mark O'Keefe may be moving back to the centers here this
Oh,
upcoming year, which is how busy that back room is.
yep. That's a good thought there.
All right. Let's move on now to Old Glory DC. Again, a lot of re-signings. The team with the most returning players as of right now for confirmed players. So re-signing with Old Glory DC in the past 2 weeks. Koi Koineligan, back rower. Bill
Mm.
Whiteside, second rower. Owen Sheehy, back three player, and John Rizzo also playing in the back three, all re-signing with the Old Glory DC squad. Now, they are now joined with Paul Mullen, who was on NOLA Gold last year, the front rower, joins DC, and Patrick Beatty, who was on LA, I believe drafted by LA last season and is heading into his sophomore year. The front rower joins DC as well. So I pull up Old Glory DC squad so far, and they're starting to fill it out. But again, a lot of green there on our list that notes returning players here.
Yeah, I can't say I'm excited about any of those signings. I mean, not a lot of those guys are too fantasy relevant, or have been historically fantasy relevant. So we'll see. I mean, I feel like every year we're saying, "Oh, Gore DC is doing the whole if it ain't broke, don't fix it" type thing, and running it back with the same guys and ending up with the same results. You know what Einstein said? Do the same thing twice or something like that,
No,
then you're
try
crazy.
again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different
See, that's what
results.
I said. That's what I said. That's what I
Or
said.
were you going for the fool me once, shame on you, fool me
Oh, he
twice,
could have.
shame on
No,
me?
no, I was
We have an
doing the
old saying.
insanity
We have an
one.
old saying. You saying now wherever. Fool me once,
Did
shame
you
on you. And
Exactly. I
Fool
was
the
doing
game.
I was doing a remix of both of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
in
yeah.
fairness, Old Glory DC had some of those big hitters early on in this offseason so far. Maybe more to come. But again, they came in hot with the Max Schumacher signing and the Benjamin
True,
Bonasso
Yeah, I was gonna
signing.
say I like the
true.
Bonasso.
So we'll see how
I do like that.
plays. Again, they know that Jason Robertson is coming back. Jason Emery's with them as well. Corey Daniel returns. So solid names, solid names. But again, just like what we were saying with Chicago, that back three room is looking pretty busy with the likes of Max Schumacher, Damian Hoyland, Harley Wheeler was added, Owen Sheehy too, John Rizzo, but we'll see. Still left to be determined on who's going to be in that center room there as well. And again, I guess they replaced the loss of Jamison Fa'anana Schultz with the addition of Benjamin Bonasso and Aiden King, who Matthew to
Yes,
this day
sir.
will argue was the rookie of the year last season.
Recency
Okay.
bias.
Now let's go to the Seattle Seawolves. Seattle among the teams that have been on the more quieter side, I would say, in terms of who they've added. We know that Dan Creel, JP Smith, and Devalt Kotza are all returning now. Mark Bennett and it was their big signing that we talked about. But again, here the big ones, again, like I mentioned, JP Smith re-signing with the Seawolves. But the two that I think are notable is Ezekiel Lindenmuth, the front rower, signs with Seattle, playing for the SaberCats last year. But the big one is I'm going to butcher this. Harrison Mateo, signs with Seattle. He
Mike, you
played in
crushed
the
it.
Pro D2 French side with Stade Montois last season.
Oh,
So
that.
a
Crush
pretty
that one.
Put some stank on it.
Mm.
there you go.
Are we going New England Free Jacks? Like,
Like
let's go
literally
New
put
England Free
yourself to
Jacks
Mark
bed. We're
next.
looking
Bennett,
for
Dan
fly
Because
Creel.
offs.
I've got an update for New England Free Jacks regarding our conversation last week regarding the Joel Hodgson signing.
Okay. All right. No, we didn't miss anything. David Coates was the big one. Still don't know anything with that back three room yet, as of
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. So there is questions still
I
on
didn't
what
think
that
you were gonna
means for
say name
Duncan
bigger than
Matthews
coach.
and Devon Rousseau. But New England Free Jacks. I don't know, Ryan, if you're planning on moving to them next.
No, we can move on to the next.
But
The New
I
England
just
Free Jacks.
before we get into
Yes.
that, I know there are some questions and some stipulations surrounding the Joel Hodgson signing and Emerson Pryor saying that he was noted as a domestic player. It sounds that while he is not necessarily U.S. eligible, he is considered as a U.S. pathway player. So that is another subsection of being domestic
Oh,
eligible.
the
So,
grease
and
involved in that.
yeah,
Whose
anyways,
pocket got lined to do that?
he is a U.S. pathway player to clarify Emerson's statement last
So
week, which, by
Canadians
the
are
way,
U.S.
to the
pathway,
to the
whatever.
people, Emerson did quote and say somebody should fact check him on that. He believes that he was somewhat domestic, which is technically true because he is considered domestic in the MLR eyes, but in terms of being U.S. eligible, he is still U.S. pathway. Just want to clear
Thank
that
you,
up
man. That was
before we get
great.
into just
That
want to
was
clear it
good.
up before
That's
we
really
get
good.
into the
That's really
fact that
good.
New England Free Jacks literally threw a handful of Canadians to the side of the curb so that they could sign some guys from down under. So please, let's get into that and talk about
It
how
is
they
true. All
abandoned
right.
an entire country.
Let's start off.
Down
With
under.
re-signing of Oscar Lennon, scrum half, New England Free Jacks, re-signing
Domestic,
him. Harrison Boyle, fly half back three player, re-signing with the Free Jacks.
probably domestic.
All right, let me take a deep breath here. And here we now go to all of the New Zealanders that will now be joining the New England Free Jacks. They got Tane Hamapo, second
Watch
row
out, there's
back
an
row
Aussie in
player.
there too. Don't get it mixed up.
Huh?
There should be an Aussie in there too. Don't
There
get
is
it
an
mixed
Aussie
up.
in there too. I do got that. All right.
Not the
Tane
same country.
Hamapo.
Just want to make sure.
Tane. You done?
Yeah.
Tane Hamapo, second row, back row player, signing with New England. He's been part of the Crusader system, played most recently for Tasman. Ruben Palmer, part of the Highlander system, most recently played with Otago, second rower, joins New England. Nathan Salmon played for Northland, was coached by Ryan Martin back in those days, back three player, joins New England. You got Sion Tupou, front row hooker, signs with New England from Bay of Plenty. Philippe Vacasiolo.
Almost.
Vacasiolo signs with New England from the Bay of Plenty as well. And then Also, Jacob Norris, back row player, signs with New England from the Bay of Plenty, has Super Rugby experience, a lot of it, which is going to be a big one there. Obviously, with the loss of Jed Melvin, going to be interesting there for Jacob Norris to step in those. That is all on top of some of the familiar names you'll know. Line Latu signs with New England from Anthem Rugby Carolina. And then we got, who else I said? Bramer Murray signs with New England from Anthem Rugby Carolina. And then we got the Aussie that Maddie mentioned, Ollie Aylmer, second row player signing with New England, Wallabies U20 Wallabies lock. And then Alex McKenzie, Seattle native, signing with New England, who has had experience in Japan as well. So take a deep breath.
Yeah.
A lot of signings. So, what are we thinking?
Well, remember our conversation saying, like, hey, not a big deal. Canada's not being considered domestic. Not a big deal. We're not going to see a huge impact. This is exactly what we were worried about. This right here is what we were worried about. All the Canadians being replaced with Kiwis pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, look. Yeah, go ahead.
If I traded one for a domestic spot for future considerations to a team that doesn't exist, do I still keep that domestic spot or foreign spot or whatever?
You know what? I think this is a question. This is a question for the co-presidents.
Because
we got to get them and see how long it takes for them to get back to us. Because that'll tell us how good the broken telephone's going.
Future considerations, just here, I'll pay you some cash. We'll hit the Chino tonight. Basically, is what future considerations were. So
that's a great point. I don't know.
Foreign player spots and then cash out.
But Matthew brings up a good point, though. I will say that the sentiment involved with the domestic slots and things like that. You would think that you'd be trying to fill up more of these spots with American players. But here we are.
All just a song and a dance? Crazy.
Here we are 3 months ahead of the start of the 2026 season with your former champions and what many consider the most stable, reliable, and successful franchise in all of MLR in both a 16 league or a 12-team league, have gone out and gone overseas to sign and bring in international players. So
non-Canadian international players.
Non-Canadian international.
And some domestic.
And some domestic. So, the argument, it's tough because is the argument, right, when I see something like this, is the argument we want to give American players more opportunity, right, and don't have those roster spots going by the wayside to international, or I guess in this case, or in this past case, Canadian players who were taking up domestic slots, when you know that teams are going to just take it to the international side. I mean, either way, I guess you could argue that, talking it out here, that in theory, there are now still more domestic slots for American players, period.
Yeah, switching guys' eligibility to domestic, then what does it matter?
Sounds like we're kind of just making up.
Yeah, it sounds like you just made holes, and now Joel Hodgson is domestic, and that's what you're calling domestic. So, I mean, sure, whatever, however you want to do it, good for you. You did it. Congratulations.
Fair enough. The interesting question, though, for me here, from a competition standpoint, though, when you look at New England, I mean, with these signings, they have an almost filled team here, and you got Joel Hodgson now at fly half, backed by Harrison Boyle, with the back three room of Mitch Wilson, Killian Coughlin, Nathan Salmon, and Line Latu. Yeah, Jamison Fainana Schultz. It feels like New England is
they're four-peating, aren't they?
Honestly, if I'm being honest, you tell me that back three, they were better last year. They actually downgraded there.
Yes.
So like you'd say that back three, and I'm like, eh. But look, I'll close it out this way with the signings and stuff. We've seen guys, young guys especially, coming from Super Rugby, coming with development Super Rugby experience, coming from MPC, coming from Australia, have a lot of success in this league and find success elsewhere after their success in this league. So I have no doubt that these guys will have a big impact, or potentially have a big impact for this New England Free Jack side.
All right, last team that I want to get over with, the fifth and final team here, because of course California Legion have not announced any signings up to this point. It's just Anthem Rugby Carolina, Moni Tonga Iha, back row players signing with Anthem Rugby Carolina. I butchered that name, I know, man. You're giving me the look. Not good.
Hey,
Oliver Kane. He was with the Nola Gold. He goes to Anthem Rugby Carolina now. Oliver Kane from San Diego, front rower, signs with Anthem Rugby Carolina. Returnees Carl Keane and Ismail Safodian, scrum halves, both returned to Anthem Rugby Carolina. Both played big parts for Anthem last year. And then the interesting one, I think, out of all this is Ramiro Gurovic, who is an Argentinian, played for Super Rugby Americas there, and has
Domestic.
played. Are you serious?
No, I have no
I
clue.
was gonna say,
Maybe he
Anthem
told
Rugby
the
Carolina.
MLR, I plan to stay here for 5 years and get U.S. eligibility, so now I'm U.S. pathway. Maybe that's how
Yeah,
it works.
maybe it's how it works. He signs with Anthem Rugby Carolina too. So, just to kind of wrap everything in a nice bow here. Can you guys see this page? Can you see this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gonna
Yeah.
wrap it up. Anthem still stinks. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, go on.
Uh, out of these teams, who are you most excited for right now?
I mean, it's pretty tough to not say New England Free Jacks. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
So
that's
I'll
the
go with
I'm
point
Free
actually,
being.
Jacks.
actually, you know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna go off the board. I'm gonna say I'm most excited for the California Legion. You know why? Because there is the unknowingness and the curiosity that is just eating away. AF has been teasing so much on the Twitters, and I just can't take it anymore. And I'm just so excited for him to announce it. And I hope he signs the poster that they post with all the announcements of the roster with AF, or else I will never be complete.
You'll be mad AF.
I'll be mad AF, yeah.
There you
Alex
go.
Drop.
Franconi, yeah.
Yeah. I asked that question. I asked that question to prove the point that a couple months ago we were doubting New England with the departures that they had. Laruma Land was leaving, Jed Melvin's left, Josh
I
Larson
mean, hey,
retired,
don't get me wrong, they're
Jason
worse.
Petros.
They are worse.
They are worse. They are worse.
But they're
But
still good.
it's just it's interesting to see again this all
AF
playing out.
doesn't AF have you on the edge of your seat?
It is true. It is true.
You
All
know, he's
right.
giving you the eye emojis. Some guy listed a
Wrap.
bunch of players. He said some, but not all. And you're like,
There you
what?
go.
What? Some, not all?
I like this. Keep
It's
going,
called the
man. You
tease.
got me on the edge of my seat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
You need to join
that's-
their PR
I'm
team.
just trying to share what
Like-
AF has got me going through on a
You
daily
ever
basis.
read the audiobooks or anything?
No.
Okay. I just want to wrap it up with the five
As
notable
AF is reading it to me.
five notable departures.
Uh-oh.
Jonah Moe. It was nice.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. Fantasy god.
Hey,
That's
at least
tough
what
for
we
Nola.
can say, boys, nobody can ruin him with the first overall pick now.
That is true. That is true.
Nobody
Finished
can
off as your
ruin
top
him.
four.
Yeah,
Finished
now
off
it's
as your
Putzer's
top
turn.
forward at 184.2 fantasy
Sorry,
points.
baby.
Only followed Joe Mono by 3 points there. Top back row scorer. Impressive season. He joins Nisa Rugby in the French third tier.
Yeah.
So he'll be heading overseas there. James Rivers. This might be one of my favorite rugby club names in all of the world. The Hong Kong Scottish. I don't know how that.
Pardon me.
The Hong Kong Scottish for the 25-26 season. The second rower with formerly known as the San Diego Legion
Have you
joins
been
them
to Hong Kong? Kind
overseas.
of makes sense. Anyways,
I
go
don't
on.
know.
Vili,
Came off racist
I
for
see what
some
I see what you're doing there, Maddie. Vili Hilu signs with Kuratawa in the League One Japan. He was on San Diego. Cam Norley Kelameti, he signs with the Doncaster Knights in the English Champ Rugby League, and then Chance Wengluski announcing his retirement, obviously most recently on the Seattle Seawolves there. So five bigger names, all I think were pretty fantasy relevant, honestly, that we're going to be seeing, the most notable of which is Jonah Moe, who we'll now see overseas in the French third tier in that.
Never even gave us a chance to ruin you.
Smart,
Smart.
even no front row.
Smart,
It's
Jonah.
true.
Smart.
Because you think, Vandy, would you put your bet on that? If he was still here, he would be the number one pick.
He'd be my number one pick.
Okay, let's do this.
I
Let's
don't
play
know,
this
but
game.
one thing we know for sure, whoever's getting picked first.
Let's play this game.
Sorry,
I know
Davey.
to wrap
Sorry,
up the show
Coaster.
and to lead up the conversation into the fantasy talk
thank
about
goodness,
the questions
no
that have been
trumpets.
brought up.
Here we go.
If you had to pick the number one draft pick out of everyone who's signed, we've had now 95 confirmed signings so far this offseason. Who would be your number one pick?
AF.
Davy Coates. I'm a sucker for a fly half. He'd be my number one.
Davy
I'd
Coates?
ruin him. I'd apologize. I would.
I think
but
Joel
I'd
Hodgson is number one pick. That's my
What?
guess. Joel Hodgson.
over Coates.
I think so. On the number one team, what many would argue the number one team.
Boys, I'm
Best
going
kicker.
with Joe
Wait,
Amano.
aren't you scared of Harrison Boyle taking his job?
No, not whatsoever.
It was a joke,
Not-
Ryan.
No.
It was a joke. Figure it out. But I would actually think Joe Amano. The possibilities of where he could go and where he could end up, I like it.
You
I
think
like
you
it.
think we see Joe Mono in the MLR?
I don't.
I mean, he's U.S. eligible. He has to be. What's he going to do?
That's true.
He's played for the U.S. He's going to play for some sort of club. Just a matter of who.
He's
you know,
playing for
honestly,
the California Legion, isn't
Yeah,
he?
you think so? That's
He's the
name.
California
Bro, that's
Legion
the
guy. I guess we'll see.
If he goes there, I'm gonna succeed. I'll be a Legion fan.
All right. Well, that leads into
I
the
can't
final
be.
segment.
I
of the
can't
show.
be a New England fan.
a big AF guy.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not doing any teams. I'm done picking teams.
Yeah, me and you both.
Yeah.
Me and you both.
I'm done.
Hear ye, hear ye. Here is
I
Supreme
hate
Commissioner
this
Yee
segment.
with an early fantasy Ruckers Leagues update. The question has been brought up: will there be fantasy MLR this upcoming season? And the answer is unquestionably yes. Of course there will be. We've been alluding to it all
Barely.
season long. Doesn't matter. We could have one team in this league and we will still have fantasy MLR. We'll make it work. I'll make it work. You have my
Okay.
word as the supreme.
That's why he's
commissioner.
supreme.
Yeah, he's
That's
just
why
playing
I am
against
supreme.
himself.
Exactly.
And
That's
he's
why he has a
winning.
guy playing trumpets every time he wants to say something.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have them following me around.
He plays past Ryan every week.
The only thing I want to mention, because we are still going through all the logistics, obviously many moving parts with regards to the schedule impacting how fantasy MLR will be played this upcoming year, the number of teams and available players that we will have for this upcoming year. Maddie and I have sat down and workshopped and have kind of thought about how we are going to approach this upcoming year. And we are getting closer to a resolution on what we think may be best. We may turn to some of our confidants in terms of some feedback on what people think on that. But all I can say is that it will range from possible position eligibility changes, scheduling format. I think a lot of people have alluded to what many people know, that we'll probably have to skip week 1 as a fantasy MLR week, which is
Week
why,
0.
again, like I teased at the beginning, will be week 0 in all intents and purposes, and hoping also from an expanded standpoint to get more points and counteract the loss of players and maybe significant impact of certain players, is to include an expansion of numbers that are calculated. But again, these are all things that are being workshopped. All that you need to know is that there will be fantasy MLR next year. It may look a little bit different. It may feel a little bit different, but either way, it's going to be fantasy MLR in the way that you know fantasy MLR and have been playing for the past handful of years with us. And again, our goal remains the same, to make it a reality here in Major League Rugby.
So just to confirm, how many questions did you answer with that update? Just one.
One big question.
Okay.
It's an important question.
I just
An
wanted to
important
check.
question.
No, I just wanted to check. I just wanted to make sure that you got all the questions and you answered them all with a concrete
Answered
answer.
them all.
Good. That's good for the people. That's good.
That is very good for the people.
I want Utah back, man.
All right,
that's the
leaving
show.
on that note, before Vandy goes into denial here, again, jam-packed episode with a whole lot to break down. But again, I think this just notes that we are inching closer and closer to MLR 2026, which means fantasy MLR is just around the corner, and start to look at maybe some of these names that will be fantasy relevant this upcoming year. Matt,
Yep.
Vandy, any final words for the people before we let them go?
You got me on the edge of my seat, AF. I'm waiting. I can't wait.
I'm depressed, but I'm also waiting.
for Matt Yee, for Devin Vandy Vanderpool, I'm Ryan Yee. We'll see you next episode on the Fantasy Ruckers Show.
Brought to you by AF.
You've been listening to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, covering everything rugby from the MLR and beyond. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and be sure to tell all your friends. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, connect with us on social media at the Fantasy Ruckers. Till next time, this is the Fantasy Ruckers Show, signing off.